One of my favorite quotes from an NBA GM was this. He was asked, how do you view your job? And he said, my job is to build an environment where people can do their best work. If I was going to ask you, how do you build an environment where people can do their best work? How would you answer that question? When we ask a lot of leaders, they will say how you define, manage, and model your expectations as a leader. Anytime you define an expectation, you draw a line between winning habits and losing habits. And the goal is to convert losing habits and to repeat winning habits. So here's how we're going to start. Is this a good shot? First of all, one of my favorite things to ask athletes on this, because I just heard it over here, is did it go in? Okay? Here's the challenge with that. So many people judge the quality of the decision based on the quality of the outcome. What we want to do is separate those two. So with this situation, what would make this a good shot? She's proved that she can hit it. There's a lot of space that she creates with her range, and it gets the crowd unbelievably involved. If we were going to make the case that this is a bad shot, what would we say? It's very early in the clock. How much time? 22 seconds. No passes have been made, right? And what? The score. They're up big, right? So when that happens, what happens? That's positive reinforcement that she gets, right? And so that makes her feel like that is a good shot, whether it is or it isn't. The reality is, you as the leader draw the line. And when you do draw that line, you separate good decisions from bad decisions. Now, as we know, that all of those decisions together, that's your process. And if we were going to define the word process, it's your way of doing something. So when you draw that line, we know that good decisions can sometimes lead to good results, but what also can they lead to? Bad results. And on the flip side, bad decisions can lead to what? Good results and also bad results. And the hardest thing about leadership is this: trying to neutralize signals when negative behaviors get positively reinforced and when positive behaviors get negatively reinforced. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you to draw a line down the middle on a sheet of paper if you have one, and then you're going to draw another horizontal line. We're going to divide it into 4 boxes. This looks at the relationship between process and results. So in the top left box, this is a desired process and an undesired result. In the top right box, it is a desired process that leads to a desired result. In the lower left, it's an undesired process that leads to an undesired result. And then the last box is an undesired process that leads to a desired result. What we're going to do is we're going to look at how to recognize what's happening and then how to manage it. So we're going to start with the top left box. Desired process, undesired result. And what I want to do is, do you see this guy right here? That's Andrew Nemhart. He's guarding Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So take a look at what happens here. Shai is the NBA MVP. So I'm going to ask you all a question. If you're the Indiana Pacers, is that good defense? The answer is yes. Why? There have been no passes made, and he's got a good challenge. But when you're playing against other professionals, what happens? Sometimes you don't get the outcome that you want, so you just make it as hard as you can. Here are some other basketball examples from micro to macro. You can make the right read, but your teammate misses a game winner. You get great shot quality, but you shoot a low percentage. You play well and you lose. I want you to think about your own environment operationally. What are some examples that you would say? And if we get off the operation and we start to look at the behavioral standards that we're creating, here are some examples that we see. Give honest feedback. A teammate can harbor resentment. You model accountability. You're shamed publicly. You trusted a teammate. They let you down. Your job as the coach is to have competitive stamina to help them see that they're doing the right thing, regardless of whether or not they're getting the result. would challenge you all to think about what you would put on these two lists. We're going to move over to the top right. This is a desired process and a desired result. Why would I use an example from the 2021 team with the Thunder? That was the coach's first year as head coach. It shows that you can have a positive process and a positive result even when you're having a tough season. So take a look at this. This is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander inbounding the ball right here. That is a perfect process, okay? Here's what's beautiful. What was the record? 20-52, and they're dogpiling. Why? It still matters. Some of your best coaching is done whenever you're having a losing season because it's harder to connect that team than when they're winning, okay? Here are some other basketball examples. You make great defensive shifts, you force a shot clock violation. You execute at a high level, you get a triple-double organically. You play well, your team wins. This is the ideal state. And if we think about your own environment, what are some of the examples that come to mind? This is what we look at from a behavioral standpoint. You model vulnerability, others open up too. You give consistent effort regardless of reward, higher quality of preparation and practice. Lastly, you call out unhealthy behavior respectfully, group norms shift positively. What we just covered is anytime the process is intact. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at it when it's not intact. And so with that, we're going to go down to a negative process with negative results. And here's an example that I'd like to show you right here, okay? So here's Caitlin, 20 seconds on the shot clock, no pass. 19 on the shot clock, no pass. This is all the same game. 17 seconds, no pass. 19 seconds, no pass. 17 seconds, no pass. Here's what I hope as we start to do this. We are looking at this as a case study. If you're looking at Caitlin Clark differently because of this, I'm going to challenge you to try and look at development differently because of this. She is just like all of us, a product of reinforcement. Our job as coaches is to help people understand that so they can change if they want to. So here are some other examples in basketball. You encourage a coach to challenge. The call stands, trust is lost. You feel like you have to take over offensively, your teammates fall out of rhythm. You play poorly, your team loses. The result is on your side with all of these examples. Behaviorally, here are some of the examples. Passive-aggressive behavior, this is so big in professional sport. Issues compound over time. You're shamed for mistakes publicly, the team stops taking risks. Players aren't held accountable, a double standard is created. We can all relate to those, right? The last box we're going to look at is an undesired process and a desired result. So I want you to ask yourself this question. The game is all the way over. Your best player comes up and asks, can I go back into the game to get a triple-double? Do you put them in? Do you keep them out? What I love is we have our philosophies, and then those philosophies get tested. So that's the exact situation. Listen to what the announcer says right here.
Caitlin Clark went to Stephanie White and said, I think she said, I'm one rebound away from a triple-double. Can I come in? Stephanie White looked up and said, I'll get you in.
So Caitlin asked to go back into the game so she can get a rebound, so she can get a triple-double. Stephanie, the head coach, puts her in. Take a look at what happens.
And Stephanie White is telling Caitlin Clark, get one, meaning get that rebound. There it is, a triple-double for Caitlin Clark.
So this is perfect, and this is why we included this example, because this is reinforcement in action. Within 2.5 minutes, what happens? Caitlin asks to go in, coach puts her in, coach yells from the sideline, go get a rebound. Caitlin gets the rebound. She gets a standing ovation after she what? Committed a turnover. That all happened within 2.5 minutes. That is Caitlin's life. That's why we should have empathy for that. The challenge, again, as a coach is how do you go against that? And that's exactly what we're going to get into. Before we do, here are a few other basketball examples. Again, think about your sport. Think about your environment. What are some of the examples that you could come up with? And then if we look at the behavioral examples, here are a few. Think if you can relate to those. So that's exactly what we're going to look at. How do you manage it once you see it? So we're going to look at the desired process and a desired result first. So we're going to go back to this example. This is Shea. What does Shea know right now? He's not getting the shot. How do best players feel when the coach goes away from them? Not great, right? Watch what happens.
Initiating. Getting it into Horford. Horford catches, kicks, Dort for the win.
Okay, the ball just goes in. Where is Shea? Right here. Watch Shea right here.
It's good!
He's the first to lose. Why? In a rebuild, you are trying to build the team that you want to be a part of. There was such a cool clip. They were playing the Miami Heat. They went on a 24-0 run. It was right up against SportsCenter. So when SportsCenter runs the highlights, what do they show? They put the ticker on it and show all 24 points. What do they not show? All the defensive stops. That is why kids get drunk on box scores, because this is what's praised. So how could that not get in your DNA and make you want to chase those numbers? So if you're clever, and the Oklahoma City Thunder are as clever as they come, what could you do the next day? Show a different tracker. Show all the defensive stops. And say, this is what makes us different. We care more about this than that. And if you can get a team to buy into that, you're highlighting the things that no one else is highlighting. You're establishing a value system. Let's go down to the bottom left. Undesired process, undesired result. So we're going to go back to this example right here. What is the challenge with this? What did they do when she was injured? They won against the best team in the WNBA in a game that mattered when she was injured. What does that show? They have a lot of talent on that team. And that talent has to work together for them to find their next level. What does this show? This is running between all the games. What is this reinforcing? For her to continue to do the things that tears the team apart. That is what you're up against as a coach. And I don't know if you all saw Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's commercial with AT&T, but contrast these two commercials. AT&T is promoting connectivity. He's bringing his teammates in on that commercial. The question you can ask is what? Which person would you want to follow? And if you show that to Caitlin, you wake her up to those ideas, because as perception changes, behavior follows. But it's our job to help their perception change. Those last two examples are when we can partner with the result and let the result do the heavy lifting. The challenge is when the result is not on our side, because now we have to have influence that's stronger than the outcome influence. So let's look at this top example. This is a positive process with an undesired result. Look at the time of the game. Look who has the ball. Indiana is taking that right here. This is Indiana's assistant. Watch her reaction. What's she doing? She's clapping. Why? Because that's the process that we want, even though it didn't generate the result. If you're going to be emphatic with praise, this is the box to do it. Here's the next example. They're taking that with Shai. Here she is right here. Watch her. See it? She's detached from the result, offering encouragement so they can continue to have the competitive stamina to do what wins. All right? The last box we're going to look at is anytime you're dealing with an undesired process with a desired result. So, obviously, we just broke down everything that went into this clip. So, she is chasing a triple-double. Here's the reality. She's going to have a lot of triple-doubles in her career. Can we agree with that? Now, this is Saquon Barkley. He's the running back for the Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles. He's about to hit his career high. This is an interaction between him and his coach.
You're 13 yards away from your career high. I would love for you to get that, but that's up to you. I just don't want, I'm going to take out all the starters if they don't score.
You good? Let them eat.
You sure?
Yeah, good.
You sure?
I promise.
Now listen to me. I want you to do it if you want to do it.
It's all good. I'd rather see the young boys eat.
All you have to do is align one with the other and say, who would you want to follow? And then you start to unlearn, okay, this is what got me here, but it's also preventing me from getting to my next level. As perception changes, behavior follows. The last clip I want to show you, this is Jay Wright. He had an unbelievable stretch where he won 2 national championships at Villanova in 5 years. And this is what he said makes a special team.
The goal of any team is to get your most talented players the most committed to your core values. That's when you have special teams.
Everyone see that? And so a way that you can train them is by showing clips and just saying, which box does this go in? And when you do that, you help them decouple results from process to where they categorize it in their mind and they don't look at the quality of the decision based on the quality of the outcome. And when you get that rolling, and then as an organization, you invest in people that do that, this is what happens. I was just at Summer League this past couple of days out in Vegas. I don't know if you saw this. This is the Oklahoma City Thunder Summer League. Everyone knows that the Oklahoma City Thunder don't let the outside separate the inside. So when they do the post-game interviews, what do? They all get together. What do you think when you see that? That shows the power of example. And when your key stakeholders have the most alignment, this is what that produces.